Hello everyone, welcome to another classic toy review here at Scorched Earth Toys at anymoon.com. Today I am reviewing Arii's 15th anniversary Battroid and GERWALK toys. That being a 15th anniversary puts them at 15 years old. As you can see, the toys come in Super and Strike varieties of GERWALK or Battroid. I will have pictures of every version of the toy up on anymoon.com. So let's start with the Battroid toys. The Strike version comes with a strike gun that comes down. Lots of painted on detail you could see, especially for the time. Articulation is weak. The build quality is poor. But you know, you'll see more of that as we go on. You can see seams along the knee here. The detail on the leg is actually a separate piece that just got glued on top. Not on every version though. If you look here, this Hikaru version, it's actually just painted onto the leg itself, or it's actually molded into the leg itself. So apparently there were some changes along the way for Arii. Let's get into articulation. You get a head that moves back and forth, but with a very limited range of motion. There's a shoulder joint. Might run into the super parts. You have an elbow with a swivel joint. So this is Roy telling you his opinion of Arii's 15th anniversary toys. The elbow joint doesn't go very far, so very limited there. You do have a hip joint that comes up. There's a good range of motion on the hip. Comes back, and as you can see, there is a knee, but the knee is fairly limited. There's also the ability to move the toe. It's all connected as one piece. There's a swivel joint at the waist as well. It pretty much covers it. You can angle the legs out a little bit because the center section's a little rubbery, but you're not going to get too dynamic a pose. Obviously, the non-super standard version toys, all the same stuff, except you don't have to worry about running into the super parts in any mode. The wings are obviously very small since this is not an actually transforming toy, so they don't get in the way in Battroid mode as much as you might think. Alright, so let's talk about GERWALK mode. Let's use the VF-1D, it's a little more photogenic, right? Alright, so in GERWALK mode, same thing. I didn't mention it on the Battroid toys, but the wrists, or the fists are basically just pegged in, so you can rotate them around however you want. In fact, on the Max version I have, the Max VF-1A, which is something we'll talk about in a moment, it's a little bit loose there, so the hand just kind of swivels around with the gun in it. That's not cool, something you'd want to look out for. The GERWALK toys have hips that can go all the way back, so you can do kind of a flying, escaping the Zentradi warship pose. Then they come forward, as you would expect. There's no rotation point outward, so you don't get the nice A stance. Arms are the same as they were on the Battroid toy, with very limited elbows. There are little tiny guns here. They're articulated. They're actually just pegged in. I actually just knocked one out. They seem like they would be very fragile, so that would be something I would look out for. Okay, and since they are pegged in, they're individually articulated, so I guess that's cool. There is an oddity in the set, and that is Max's VF-1A, which was given Max's VF-1J paint scheme. I don't really understand why they would do that. I assume they'd seen the show, but that is definitely a strange bit. There are little collector's figures that come with these toys. They are like so. So here's the little Hikaru version. I'll have pictures up on anymoon.com so you can get a better look. Here's Roy. Toys don't actually, or the figures don't stand. So that is kind of annoying. Minmay in a swimsuit. How else would Minmay be, I suppose? You also have a little Misa figure, a Miria figure, and a Max figure. So as you can see, they're all nicely painted. Pretty decent detail, especially for the era. And all these seem like they are just models that were beefed up and made into toys. Or at least the sculpt is from a model. I don't think there's really much in common besides the sculpt, but these toys are somewhat solid, but they're very poorly made. You'll see lots of little paint flaws. I'll have close-ups on anymoon.com because that'll be a much better way of showing you what I'm talking about there. There's also, I'll show pictures on anymoon.com of parts that weren't quite glued together properly. So the plus side of these toys is their paint jobs. Like here you can see pretty good detail work, especially for that time. A little UN Spacey painted on there. The downside is just about everything else. So a 15-year-old toy that you can avoid purchasing. I will have, again, pictures of all the different types up on anymoon.com, as well as comparisons to other toys and the line art. Thanks for viewing.